What if I told you that one tiny coin just like that could secretly be worth thousands, or even millions of pounds? Yes, you heard that right. The humble 1971 UK Elizabeth I new penny coin, millions of people once ignored or spent on sweets, might just be one of the rarest and most valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and who knows, you could be holding a fortune in your hand without even realizing it. Let's rewind back to the early 1970s. The year 1971 marked a massive shift in British currency history: decimalization. On February 15, 1971, the UK officially switched from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a new decimal system, where 100 new pence made £1. It was one of the biggest changes in the country's monetary history, and the Royal Mint had to produce millions of new coins fast. Among them was the brand new one new penny, featuring the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin on the obverse, and a crowned portcullis on the reverse, designed by Christopher Ironside. Now, because of the huge rush to prepare for decimalization, the Royal Mint struck hundreds of millions of coins in 1971. Over 1.5 billion one new pennies were minted. With such high numbers, you'd think none of these coins could ever be rare. But here's where it gets exciting: not every coin came out perfectly. And a handful of error coins from this year have turned what should be a simple penny into a collector's dream worth hundreds, thousands, or in some reported cases, even over £40,000 for the rarest examples. So, what makes a 1971 one new penny so special and valuable? It all comes down to minting errors, metal compositions, and die varieties. These are the hidden clues collectors look for, and the differences are often so small that most people never notice them. But if you spot one, it could be life-changing. One of the most famous and valuable types of the 1971 one new penny is the off-metal strike error. During the transition to decimal coins, the Royal Mint was also striking coins in different metals, including 2 new pence coins, halfpennies, and experimental test strikes. In very rare cases, a few one new penny coins were mistakenly struck on the wrong metal planchets, possibly bronze, brass, or even copper nickel instead of the standard bronze. These rare misstrikes often have unusual colors or weight differences. For example, a genuine 1971 one new penny should weigh around 3.56 grams and be made of bronze, 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, 0.5% tin. If your coin feels heavier, lighter, or has a silvery tone, you may have a rare off-metal strike that could fetch £5,000 to £20,000, depending on its condition. Then there are the die alignment errors. These occur when the obverse and reverse designs don't line up correctly. If you flip your coin and notice that the queen's head isn't perfectly opposite the reverse design, you might have a rotated die error. Collectors love these anomalies because they show that the coin escaped normal quality checks at the Royal Mint. Such coins can sell anywhere from £500 to £3,000, sometimes more if the rotation is extreme or if the coin is in near mint condition. But the story gets even more intriguing. There are reports of double-struck or off-center 1971 one new pennies coins that were accidentally struck twice or slightly outside the center of the blank. These errors produce fascinating results. You might see ghosted images of the Queen's portrait or part of the lettering missing or overlapping. The more dramatic the error, the higher the value. Some of these rare misstrikes have sold at auction for £10,000 to £50,000, depending on visibility and demand from high-end collectors. Another mystery surrounds a tiny number of Prooflike or satin finish coins believed to have been struck under special conditions. These weren't meant for circulation and may have been part of early Royal Mint trials or presentation sets. Because so few are known to exist, they can fetch astronomical prices. A pristine 1971 one new penny with flawless surfaces, sharp detail, and a mirror-like finish could easily command £60,000 or more if authenticated by top grading services like NGC or PCGS. Now, one of the most fascinating stories about the 1971 one new penny comes from the Royal Mint's early production runs. During the transition to decimalization, there were experimental dies made using slightly different lettering. Some early test strikes show the font of new penny being thinner or thicker than normal, while others have small spacing errors between letters. These subtle variations, especially if combined with die cracks or misalignment, make for incredibly rare collectible pieces. Some coin experts believe that only a handful of these test strike versions still exist today, making them potentially worth £50,000 to £70,000 or more if authenticated. Another variety to watch for is the missing detail error, where part of the queen's hair, crown, or the portcullis design appears faint or incomplete. This can happen when the die was filled with grease or debris during the striking process. While these errors might seem minor, collectors go crazy for unusual examples, especially from the 1971 issue because of its historical importance. Coins with significant missing detail or ghosting can bring in £1,000 to £5,000, sometimes even higher if they are unique. And let's not forget about Planchet errors, where the blank metal disc itself was flawed before striking. You might encounter a 1971 one new penny that appears cracked, split, or even slightly clipped along the edge. These minting errors, known as clipped planchets, are quite eye-catching. Some examples have a crescent-shaped section missing, showing that the metal blank wasn't cut properly. These coins can range in value from £500 for a minor clip to £10,000 or more for dramatic, perfectly visible ones. Collectors and grading experts agree that condition plays a massive role in determining the final value of a 1971 one new penny. A coin that's been circulated and shows where will obviously be worth less than one in brilliant uncirculated, BU, or proof condition. But when an error is involved, even a circulated example can be worth serious money. A rare off-metal or double-strike 1971 penny, even with some wear, could still bring thousands of pounds at auction. One particularly mysterious story tells of a 1971 one new penny struck on an aluminium test planchet, an experimental piece never meant to leave the mint. This ultralight coin reportedly weighs less than 2 grams and has a pale silvery color. Only a few of these test strikes are believed to have survived, and if verified, they could fetch up to £80,000 or even more at auction. It's the kind of find that could change a collector's life overnight. It's also worth mentioning that not all 1971 one new pennies were struck for circulation. Some were made for proof sets, beautifully struck with polished dies and stored carefully in presentation cases. These coins were never meant to enter general use, and when found loose, they can easily be mistaken for regular coins. But here's the twist: some proof strikes from that year show minor differences in the Queen's portrait or lettering details, and those variations can make all the difference. If you have one of these high-grade proof coins with even a small error or unique die mark, you could be sitting on a coin worth £10,000 to £20,000, or even more. The excitement around the 1971 one new penny isn't just about its errors, it's about what it represents. This was Britain's very first decimal penny, marking the end of an era and the birth of a new currency system. Every collector wants a piece of that history, especially if it's one with a story. And error coins tell the best stories. They're survivors of mistakes that slipped past the strictest quality controls during one of the most important moments in modern British minting. Over the years, these coins have become increasingly hard to find, especially in pristine condition. Many were melted down, lost, or damaged. But every so often, one resurfaces, maybe in an old coin jar, a forgotten drawer, or a relative's collection. And when it does, it makes headlines. There have been reports of 1971 one new pennies selling for tens of thousands of pounds in private sales, particularly those verified by grading companies or featured in major auctions. If you're wondering how to tell if your coin is special, start by inspecting the details closely. Look for weight differences, color variations, double images, or misaligned designs. If your 1971 one new penny looks unusual in any way, don't spend it. Instead, get it professionally evaluated by a trusted numismatic expert. You could be holding one of the rarest coins of the decimal era, worth far more than its face value. So, let's put it into perspective. A regular 1971 one new penny might only be worth a few pence. But a rare error coin from the same year with an off-metal strike, double strike, or Prooflike finish could bring in £1,000, £10,000, £66,000, or even more depending on rarity and condition. That's the thrill of coin collecting. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth a small fortune. The next time you come across a 1971 one new penny, take a moment to look closer. That small copper coin might not just be change, it could be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. Imagine realizing that the coin sitting quietly in your drawer for decades could be worth as much as a luxury car or even a house. These stories are real, and they happen to everyday people who take the time to look. The 1971 one new penny isn't just a piece of history, it's a hidden treasure waiting to be rediscovered. From off-metal strikes to double strikes, from proof finishes to rare die varieties, these tiny coins hold enormous value for those who know what to look for. So, if you have one lying around, don't overlook it. Examine it, weigh it, and maybe just maybe you'll uncover one of the most valuable and legendary pennies ever minted in modern British history. Because when it comes to coins like the 1971 one new penny, what looks ordinary on the surface could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions of pounds underneath. And that's the kind of discovery that turns a collector's dream into a reality.